This is a Fox News Alert. I'm Brett Baer in Washington. From Manic Monday to Turnaround Tuesday. That was looking like the theme for today on Wall Street following yesterday's huge losses. The Dow rocketed after the opening bell, up more than 440 points early. It was up 333 points at noon Eastern. Then the final half hour saw all those gains disappear. 121 points up to more than 200 points down. The Dow traveled 1,600 points in all during today's trading session, up and down. The biggest single-day reversal to the negative since October 2008. The closing numbers, the Dow losing 205, the S&P 500 fell 26, the Nasdaq was off 20. We have Fox team coverage tonight. Fox Business Network's Trish Regan in New York with a look at inside the Wall Street numbers. But we begin with Chief Washington correspondent James Rosen at the White House tonight and another wild ride for investors. James.
Brett, good evening. This morning's rebound on Wall Street proved short-lived, and it served to underscore some very serious structural problems for the U.S. economy, not the least of which is our deep and complex relationship with China. In its first 2 hours of trading, the Dow Jones Industrial surged some 400 points, almost erasing Monday's losses. It was Wall Street's early thumbs up to moves overnight by China's central bank, which cut interest rates for the fifth time in 9 months and reduced capital reserve requirements for Chinese lending institutions. But China's main index continued a four-day slump. Japan's Nikkei and the Shanghai index likewise reported further losses, and by day's end, the Dow had lost those 400 points and 200 more. Analysts here split on what it all tells us about America's economy.
If you look at the service sector, which is about 70% of the economy, the last readings have been very, very good. The economy is growing. It's just growing at a subpar rate.
If you take the stock market out of all the numbers, any calculation, GDP, I don't care what number you want to use, everything else is not on all cylinders. And after all this effort of keeping interest rates at zero, and this is all we got?
With President Obama returning from a fundraising jaunt to Las Vegas, aides again touted his economic stewardship. Yet concerns remain over China's uneasy mix of market reforms and political repression, and its potential to contaminate other economies, such that the White House is sending National Security Advisor Susan Rice to Beijing this week in advance of next month's state dinner for Chinese President Xi Jinping.
We need to speak out against China's...
Republican presidential candidate Governor Scott Walker of Wisconsin urged the cancellation of the state dinner for Xi. Walker was not alone in citing China's, quote, massive cyber attacks against America, its militarization of the South China Sea, continued state interference with its economy, and persistent persecution of Christians and human rights activists.
Obama has been very weak on China and Russia because he wanted them on the deal for Iran.
The State Department said the dinner will go forward as planned.
Secretary Kerry is going to be personally involved and looks forward to his participation and to making sure that it's a success, and there's no plans to change the visit.
Now, the White House was able to point to two bright spots on the economic landscape today. First, new home sales rose by more than 5% in the month of July, and consumer confidence shot up this month, its highest reading in 7 months. Brett?
James Rosen live in the North Lawn. James, thank you. Let's get some analysis now from Fox Business Network's Trish Regan. Good evening, Trish. So what happened today?
Oh, wow. Well, another crazy day. I mean, volatility has certainly made a comeback here, Brett. Investors are trying to figure out just exactly what they should do. There's a few things going on. One, obviously, China's a real concern. What that's demonstrated is that the world is just not growing the way it once had. I mean, we've just gotten through the whole European debt crisis that's still actually ongoing. Now, all of a sudden, you got this crisis of growth, lack of growth there in China. And investors back here at home are saying, what exactly is happening here? We've got really minimal growth, roughly 2% in the U.S. economy, and I know that James just cited that consumer confidence number, but I can tell you, after watching the market this week, investors aren't going to be feeling, consumers are not going to be feeling quite as confident about things.
Yeah, Trish, the big question really is about the Federal Reserve, what the Fed will do, and what the indications are, and what really that means for the market.
So here's the thing, Brett. They have left rates at zero for 6+ years. The Fed has been doing everything to pump more money, effectively printing money, to get it into our economy. The expectation now, Brett, is that they're going to have to change their tune. That in and of itself may have created an asset bubble, in that investors are not really valuing stocks right now for what they're worth, but they're valuing it knowing that it has the backing of the Federal Reserve. And so the Fed needs to get away from this policy. I mean, it's been too long. They need to raise rates, and investors are very fearful of what that means. After all, the U.S. dollar, it's been getting stronger and stronger. If the Fed raises, it gets stronger even more so, and that makes it harder for us to sell our goods in a global economy.
Well, thank you, Trish. Be sure to check out the Intelligence Report with Trish Regan weekdays from 2 to 3 p.m. on FBN. Meantime, the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, the CBO, said today this year's federal deficit will fall to $426 billion, the lowest of President Obama's tenure. It credits higher than expected individual and corporate income tax collections, but the CBO also warns trillion-dollar deficits could return in 2025, fueled by an aging population and swelling health care costs, possibly pushing the national debt to more than $21 trillion that year. Now to politics. Donald Trump's traveling presidential campaign and roadshow is in Iowa tonight. He will host a rally in Dubuque at the top of the hour. Tonight, Chief Political Correspondent Carl Cameron reports from Iowa. Even when it is another candidate doing the talking, the subject always seems to get back to the Donald.
In the battleground swing state of Colorado, Jeb Bush continued his attack on frontrunner Donald Trump's immigration plans.
Mr. Trump believes that you can just round people up, and that it's just an easy thing to do because he's a successful guy and he'll just have successful people do it and it'll all work out. It's not a practical plan.
After slamming Trump at the border yesterday, Bush now faces the billionaire's blowback. He's mocking Bush for asserting that so-called anchor babies, born in the U.S. to immigrant mothers who come here to take advantage of birthright citizenship, which Trump wants to end and Bush wants to keep, are part of an organized fraud mostly perpetuated by Asians. Trump tweeted, "Asians are very offended that Jeb said that anchor babies applies to them as a way to be more politically correct to Hispanics. A mess." But Bush is correct. The Obama Justice Department in March revealed a massive investigation to multi-million-dollar Asian anchor baby delivery services and programs on the West Coast. Few statistics are available, but estimates say tens of thousands of pregnant women come to the U.S. every year to exploit U.S. laws. In 2012, Trump ridiculed Mitt Romney's immigration plans as maniacal for suggesting the 11 million illegal immigrants here now would have to self-deport. But Trump now says he'd force deport them, although not how he'd do or pay for it. A new Gallup poll finds 65% of Hispanics have an unfavorable opinion of Trump. Bush today renewed his pledge to defund Planned Parenthood for its collection of fetal tissue and organs for research as part of its abortion services.
Because they're not actually doing women's health issues. They're involved in something way different than that.
Trump has repeatedly called Bush insensitive to women for his Planned Parenthood rhetoric. Trump's got the GOP establishment rattled. In the key southern swing states of Virginia and North Carolina, the state Republican parties are both considering loyalty pledges for candidates to swear off an independent or third-party run before getting on their GOP ballot. One of Scott Walker's big donors met with Trump just recently and discussed backing the Donald. Word is that will not be happening. Trump's expecting 4,000 at a rally in Dubuque, Iowa tonight, just a few miles from the Wisconsin border, where he's outwardly courting Walker's supporters and mocking the governor's immigration positions. And the billionaires due on stage, the national frontrunner, in about an hour and a half here in Dubuque. Mr. Trump has been in the race now more than 2 months and has not held a formal town hall meeting to actually speak with voters. Though there's word that in Dubuque tonight, where they're expecting as many as 4,000 after the rally speech, he'll pass out wireless mics and may take some questions. We'll have more for you later in the evening, Brad.
All right, Carl Cameron live at that rally. Carl, thank you. Fox News Chairman and CEO Roger Ailes has responded to Donald Trump's latest attack on Megyn Kelly, which came on her first night back from vacation. Quote, Donald Trump's surprise and unprovoked attack on Megyn Kelly during her show last night is as unacceptable as it is disturbing. Megyn Kelly represents the very best of American journalism, and all of us at Fox News Channel reject the crude and irresponsible attempts to suggest otherwise. Donald Trump rarely apologizes, although in this case he should. We have never been deterred by politicians or anyone else attacking us for doing our job, much less allowed ourselves to be bullied by anyone, and we're certainly not going to start now. Donald Trump said today he disagrees with the Fox statement. He will not apologize. He then cited his front-runner status in the latest polls. On to the Democrats now, where the prospect of Vice President Joe Biden entering the race is growing larger by the day as the Hillary Clinton campaign appears to be sputtering. Here's Chief White House correspondent Ed Henry.
Hillary Clinton is interrupting her vacation at a $100,000 rental in the Hamptons to get back on the campaign trail tomorrow in Iowa, as her poll numbers continue to sag in key battlegrounds like New Hampshire, where a new survey by the Democratic firm Public Policy Polling shows Democratic Socialist Senator Bernie Sanders beating her. Sanders leads the Democratic field with 42%. Clinton has 35%, while former Virginia Senator Jim Webb has climbed to 6%. And former Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley is at 4%. As Vice President Joe Biden got a green light from President Obama to pursue his own bid during a private lunch on Monday, Clinton's campaign chairman John Podesta stumbled through a question about whether the vice president will run.
I don't know. That's his decision. But I'll tell you something. The reason that, he'll make a decision. If he does run, that will be a good debate inside the party.
After Biden met over the weekend with Senator Elizabeth Warren, a key Democratic power broker, he's taking another step toward a run. Democratic sources confirming a Washington Post report. The vice president has set up a meeting at the Naval Observatory after Labor Day with top fundraisers who raised big money for the Obama-Biden ticket in 2008 and 2012. The Clinton camp is offering a new excuse for why she joked about wiping her server with a towel. Podesta telling reporters Monday the candidate was badgered by a Fox reporter, while the Republican National Committee launched a new Snapchat-themed ad slamming Clinton over that news conference in Las Vegas.
What, like with a cloth or something? No, well, no.
The State Department Inspector General reveals Caroline Kennedy, U.S. Ambassador to Japan, has also used a private email account to conduct official business, including emails labeled sensitive but unclassified. A spokesman stressed, unlike Clinton, Kennedy also has an official account and is not using her own server. Brett?
Ed, thank you. More on a different private account a little later in the show. Up next, sending a clear message to Vladimir Putin. First, here's what some of our Fox affiliates around the country are covering tonight. Fox 5 in New York with another setback to New Jersey's bid to offer legal sports gambling. A federal appeals court panel in Philadelphia upheld the federal ban on sports betting in all but 4 states. Fox 29 in Philadelphia with the fatal shooting of a man who attacked a sheriff's deputy inside a Pennsylvania courthouse. 33-year-old Curtis Smith is the same man detained by the Secret Service in March after jumping over a perimeter wall at the White House. No word on a motive for today's incident. And this is a live look at our affiliate Fox 2 in Oakland, California. The big story there tonight, the latest court appearance for an illegal immigrant charged with murdering a woman last month. Juan Francisco Lopez Sanchez was on the street after the county refused to honor a federal request to notify immigration before releasing him from jail. That's tonight's live look outside the Beltway from Special Report. We'll be right back.